In this video, I'm going to show you why you don't always need to be the fastest driver on the grid to take the win. Sometimes it's not always about the raw pace, it's actually about smart decisions and strategy. Making the right moves at the right time can often be far more effective than jumping into battles too early. First, we will have a little look at the race where I was fighting, well, almost immediately. And then I will show you another race that just proves why this approach is not always the best option. So let's begin.
New day, new race. Well, it's not a new day actually, it's just a new race.
And sure, it was not the usual race. This was one of those kind of longer battles, just about 15 laps, where going side by side is not always the smartest idea. And I'll try to explain why. In a race like this one, consistency matters more than forcing wheel-to-wheel fights in every single lap. Of course, you still want to keep it entertaining, but here's the real story. It's just about how much you can spend in clean air and do some consistent lap times without losing too much time. And this is what really makes a difference. I got this race started in the RCZ, and it turned out to be quite a strong choice. I was running this for the whole week and, well, actually one of the best cars that I've driven here. The pace was here and the car felt really glued to the track, and things were actually looking quite solid. But almost immediately, the field tightened up. The leading four were separated by just less than half a second in some situations, and that kind of put me right in the middle of those battles. Right behind me was the F-Type Jaguar, and to make it even tougher, it was driven by the world champion, Michael Hezal. That made the pressure even heavier, and my focus had to be on just avoiding mistakes at all costs. But as you're about to see, the action picked up fairly quickly.
Okay, it's very wide. Oh, okay, I think that was lag. Well, that was definitely lag, but what happened?
After that, I realized it was probably the best time to pit. I didn't want to put myself in a position where I had to battle it over and over again, losing time each time we do it, basically. So gaining places here is definitely not easy. So I chose to pit early instead. The plan was actually quite simple. Get out in clean air and push really hard and do some consistent lap times. And that's exactly what I did. I dropped to the back of the field, but with plenty of clear track in front of me. And it was a perfect chance to focus on the pace without any distractions. Just as I started to settle in, though, something really unexpected happened. I spotted a very interesting incident unfolding right in front of me. And I knew I had to avoid it because, well, if I get involved, I'm going to lose a lot of time.
Guys, no, just... Please don't. Oh wow. I really don't even know what happened between them. I only saw smoke. That's what it was. Okay. Thank you. Hey, it's another Lamborghini. It's the Italian Lamborghini. Nice. Okay.
Just like that, even with traffic, which kind of in a way helped me because of that bomb draft, I managed to gain 2 places. And now looking back at the previous standings, it was, well, basically it was essentially the lead at this point. So I knew, however, that the Lamborghini behind me had some serious pace. And at some point, I would definitely have to defend. So I kept my eyes on the gap, staying really focused in this one, and I honestly was not expecting any aggressive dives that early in the race. But nonetheless, you can't really exclude them entirely.
Okay, good exit. More people pitting. And the gap is 24.5, which is very close. Now it's not close anymore. Now he's got us.
And what made this part really interesting is that I was constantly focused on the gap to the leader. And as you can see, him just edging a little bit further and further away. And just about 25 seconds in, it was still just enough to keep things interesting and maybe stay within potential slipstream when he pits. The problem was this consistent battling. And every time we fought for positions, we lost valuable time. And that's something that really hurt our pace and actually our chances of getting a strong result here and potentially a win. So what I really hoped for was that we could maintain the gap, maybe even settle down a little bit and just maybe work together to bring time even a little bit down, just to improve our odds slightly.
I think Ulster is going to change the tires and go for it. Because this race isn't exactly the quickest race that I've had. But again, I need a radar. Like,
No, well, this was definitely not the situation I wanted to end up in. I really tried to avoid it, but unfortunately, I lost 2 positions. The gap to the leader had grown to just about 26 seconds, which clearly was not enough to keep any hope of challenging the win alive. I cannot blame anyone though. Everyone here is simply trying to maximize their own chances to get a better result, and this is just how racing works in general. Now, I had just about 2 drivers in front of me, all locked in a serious battle. And my goal was clear. I need to take those places and I need to make it stick. I knew I had the pace and I knew I had a real shot here. And, well, I was just trying to find a moment to send it and really make my move stick.
And he has the lead and just about 2 seconds I think now in front of us. I got 1 place back.
And I knew I needed 1 more, and maybe I'll even have a shot to close up to Hizal, who just got out of the pits and he was in the lead. I think just about 2 seconds in. But then something completely unexpected happened. The driver in front of me was really pushing it, and I guess at one point it was inevitable, but I wasn't really thinking that it was gonna go down this way. He got a penalty, just going slightly too wide, and it just shows you that one small mistake can completely change the outcome of this race. And from 10 point on, it was all about pushing as hard as I could, really trying to close the gap to the leader. And this is, I guess, never an easy situation with just about a couple of laps to go. And I went for it, lap by lap. I even adjusted my braking bias to +5 to get more rotation under braking, though it made the car a little bit more difficult to handle. The gap did start to drop by basically only 1/10 per lap, which it's definitely not enough. By the final lap, the gap came down to its lowest point, but it was still not enough to make a difference. And this race really highlighted how early fighting can ruin your chances of a strong finish. Sometimes you need to work together instead, and that's exactly what you will see in my next one.
Go, Lewis, go. Now I got a Ferrari behind me. NDO. NDO.
And in this one, we found ourselves in a very similar situation as in the previous race. Everyone was really quick and everyone was really trying to create an opening for themselves. But in a lobby like this one, you really have to think about what works best for you. There's always pressure, and the pressure was right behind me in this situation. But I had to stay focused on running my own race. Since Lewis unfortunately lost a bit of ground to the leader, I decided to make an early move. And this time, it did not even take a full lap before I really went for it.
He wants to let me by. I'll take it. Maybe Lewis thinks that I got more pace.
And at this point, I'm not exactly sure what he wanted to do. I saw him move slightly to the right, leaving me a lot of space on the left and even having an indicator on the left. So I thought he wanted me to go through, so I just went for it. I still have no idea what exactly he wanted out of that situation. Maybe it was just a little lift, but I cannot really say for sure. But either way, I found myself in a similar situation to the last race. The task now was, of course, to chase down the leader, as usual. The leader was in a Lamborghini, and that car was definitely not slow. I mean, even the driver wasn't slow. He's like really, really quick. And after just 2 laps, I finally caught up. Helped, of course, with a bit of slipstream, which was, I gotta say, very powerful here. And it does help. Not like it used to, but it really does help. I even set the fastest lap of the race at that point, so things were actually looking quite promising. But as it is often the case, staying close is quite tough. I lost around just about half a second, but really not much. Just one little tiny mistake, which is not even a mistake. And there you go, half a second is gone. And now behind me was Hazal in the Hyundai Genesis. One of the cars that I definitely did not see coming. I mean, I just wasn't expecting that car here. But he had some serious pace. I thought it would definitely not be competitive, but again, he proved me and I guess everyone else wrong. So, just as I thought he was about to launch an attack, because he was like really close, he started giving me a couple of bomb drafts instead. And I think that choice ended up deciding the direction of this race.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
And I noticed that he was slightly quicker than me. And at that point, I did not want to put him under any unnecessary pressure. So I kind of left the doors open. If he wanted to go for it in the next couple of turns, he could. The last thing I wanted to do was start battling and, of course, hurt our own pace, especially with the leader still within reach.
Will he try? I think I can go for it. He can make it work. I'm just not as quick as I was before.
But then came a little twist. The leader decided to pit actually quite early. And that was something that I definitely wasn't expecting. And that opened up the doors to a completely different strategy for 2 of us. And the key was actually bomb drafting. Well, basically there was like 3 of us. NDO was still in the battle. So I really focused on pushing him along, using the slipstream to our mutual advantage. So the idea was quite simple. By the time we made our pit stops, we could both come ahead of the leader. And I know it's never easy to pull something like this off, but I kept doing it. I stayed really close, used the slipstream whenever I could, and gave a couple of pushes. I have to admit it, I gave one push too many at one point. But overall, the rhythm worked, and for the next several laps, we stuck to this plan. Nothing flashy, just clean driving with occasional nudge at the right moment. And suddenly, our lap times dropped by just about 2/10 compared to what we would normally do in a situation like this one, of course, without slipstream. Sometimes you just need a fast driver to set the pace and then to actually use that pace and bump draft as kind of an advantage. And that was basically it. And I guess we tried to make it more efficient this time. But Hizal decided to choose to pit 1 lap earlier than I thought he would. And that kind of opened the doors for me to try to do actually something different. I decided to really push hard, maximize this lap, and see how much time can I gain in the long run. Well, actually, it was only 1 lap, but I knew I could get a lot from it.
Now let's see how this is going to look like. I need a good lap now. I need a really good lap, actually. Now the moment. Come on, autopilot. Bring it home now.
And just like that, I found myself in the lead. What really decided this race, though, was the moment between the two drivers. They got a little too close to one another, and their outlap was simply not as strong. By the time they reached turn 1, they started battling, and that cost them valuable time on the straight. And as you can imagine, that's never ideal in a situation like this. So I took full advantage of it. Even losing just half a second was enough for me to turn things around. And this really shows that if you want to maximize your results, you don't always need to be the quickest driver on the grid. Sometimes you just gotta be smart, think strategically, and make the right decisions. And this is exactly the kind of approach I focus on in my online course. And if you would like to learn more about how to improve your lap times, why I make the decisions that I do, and how to actually apply them in your own races, check out the link down below. More than 500 drivers have already signed up, and the feedback has been quite positive. So overall, I have to say that this race was quite incredible. Sometimes you need to work smart, and sometimes you need a little bit of luck. And, well, you can let me know in the comments which one was this one, luck or actually playing it smart.
What a win, actually. What a race.